Hello and welcome to the Amazon University Esports Women's League of Legends Championship Finals, brought to you by Unite Student, Twitch Student and Logitech G. I'm Viper, joined by Carmeline, and Carmeline, I'm sorry, I've already lied to you. It's the finals, but it's not the finals yet. Just because of the way that the game's going, we're going to go through our losers bracket final first, because we only know one of our finalist teams so far.
I mean, do we? I mean, we kind of didn't know the other team that is going to make it to the finals. At least we've got just two candidates for that. So it's not like we can choose out of plenty of teams, but
I mean, this is what this game's for, right? We need to discover who's going to be going up against Derby in that final. That will be a best of 3 happening directly after this game. So you're going to be potentially getting 4 games of League of Legends from the Newell tonight, which is potentially a first. I don't know if that's happened in a... Well, certainly hasn't happened in a women's League of Legends Championship final. Don't know if it's happened in the classic one. But, Carmeline, these two teams, Hecker and PTSD, Design, Sundere. We've spoken about these two teams quite a lot. We've seen them on stream quite a lot. And both these teams looking very, very strong and will both want to be getting towards that final.
Absolutely. And both of them had faced Derby before. And both of them have a past with Derby. Like, for example, Hecarim, PTSD, has claimed that both Divine Sanders and Derby are the biggest rivals. But if they had to choose, they'd rather join forces with Divine Sanders to beat Derby. So it's like they've got this entire triangle relationship here about rivalries, which is quite interesting, and it's going to bring so much more like emotion to these games.
Yeah, it's kind of whoever wins this one, the other team will be supported going into that final, because Derby are... They're a whole different beast when it comes to League of Legends this season, and we'll have to see if anyone can take them down going into our final. But we've got to do a little sponsor read first, because, you know, it's a longer stream, but we still got to pay our dues. So, United Student, Carmeline, we were talking earlier, just before we came on stream,
yeah,
and we talked about our producer Phil, and he shared his video because he was trying to make a fun joke, and the state of his bedroom, right? I think you can agree with Carmeline. It wasn't good.
Let me tell you, I mean, I'm going to defend Phil here and say that my room, while being at university, was like very similar looking. So I cannot criticize him for that.
I mean, but if you want to treat your room a little bit better than our producer does, United Students, get a room with them. They have student accommodation in 25 different cities, including This is where I forget. They have them in Newcastle, because that's where I currently live. They have them in Birmingham, because that's where I study. They have them in London for multiple different London universities. Reading, Oxford, and a bunch of other places. If you're going to university somewhere with the University of and then a city name, there's a good chance that there is a Unite student accommodation pretty near where you're going to be studying. They've got a money back guarantee, so you can cancel pretty much at any time if you want to look for accommodation, and they are open for 2021-2022. So if you are looking for student accommodation, that's very, very nice, and you're going to treat it with respect, make your bed and take your dirty plates out of your room, Phil, then make sure to head over to Unite Students and check them out. Massive thank you to them and everyone else for your support of this series and all of the newer series that we've got going on this split. But, Carmeline, we've got to turn our attention to the game that we've got in front of us. This is a best of one losers bracket final, so Hecarim PTSD versus Divine Sundares. And these two teams, on paper, it's weird because Divine Sundere look on paper, gram for gram, solo queue rank, stronger than Hecarim PTSD. But, it must be said, Hecarim PTSD as a unit definitely look the business.
I think so. I mean, after all, it comes down to how teams work together, right? Because as you were saying, like, okay, the individual ranks might be higher, but in comparison, if you talk about the synergy between the players, I think Hecarim PTZ has got a little bit of an edge over Divine Sundares here from what we've seen in past games. I mean, the top lane jungle synergy is amazing. Now, I gotta give to Divine Sundares that the bot lane synergy is amazing for them. So, like, it's a little bit compensating between the two teams. So we'll see what happens during the games, who comes up on top. But I mean, I know I have to see the draft, and from that I will tell you what team I think is going to win.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's difficult.
It's very interesting you bring up the different areas of strength for the two teams, because this is something that could be very, very telling in this matchup, because Hecarim PTSD, they've got good players across the board, but it's kind of been a little bit the honeycomb show in that jungle. Has been playing exceptionally well around Gertrude the Pony, as you mentioned, in that top side, and Vanequirks, who I believe has changed her name, so we'll have to confirm exactly what her summon name is when we go into picks and bans, hopefully very, very shortly. And on the other side, Sofa, such a very, very powerful player in that bot lane, probably the centerpiece of the team. And you look at where the weak points are of the two teams, that maybe they're mirrored almost. Sleepy has sometimes looked a little bit off the pace when it came through Hecarim PTSD, but again, still very, very strong performer at this level. And then the top side, Annie Banani has been... She can play a bit of a different style of champion, not one that I'm necessarily a massive fan of. But if she gets on something that can be a little bit more useful, lots of utility available on the champion, then she can definitely be a force to be reckoned with. So I think we're in for a very, very close semi-final, and both of these teams need a very good game here to warm themselves up to go up against Derby later.
Thing is, we're talking about the top of the top teams. Like, it's no longer like the beginning of the season. Now we're seeing the teams that have made it through these stages to get to the finals. So, talking about making to the finals, we're making to the draft stage. I'm so excited to see what they are going to do, because this one thing that characterizes both teams, I think, in my opinion, is like the comfort picks. They are usually allowed to play them. So we'll see if that happens this time around. Katarina is going to be the first ban. Okay, Katarina's strong. We'll see what that goes. But it's a straight ban towards his card. She's a really good and strong Katarina player, so good for them.
It's the kind of champion where in the meta she doesn't hold the strongest position. Orianna, on the other hand, definitely does. But when you've got a good Katarina player in your game, she can completely take over. So getting that one away from Scarlet is very, very good. And getting rid of this Orianna away from Vayne does make a lot of sense. It's a very safe, very dependable mid lane pickup, and trying to force her onto something a little bit different could be successful. And the Kindred is also going to be taken off the table.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Kindred to be taken off at this pick and ban stage, but I'm gonna say, okay, we've seen quite a few junglers played during this tournament, so it does make sense to Hecarim. Oh no, don't take Hecarim away.
Yeah, ban it before they can. That's the trick. It will put them on tilt, because they always have to ban the Hecarim, and just reminding them that that champion exists can be enough. But a very, very strong pickup. Lilia will follow, so trying to ban away some of these very powerful, very dependable jungle pickups. It wouldn't be too surprising to be Udyr, but it's going to be the Skarner, actually, who's taken away. So Udyr's still available. Seraphine still available for that first pick. We'll have to see what Hecarim PTSD decide to grab.
Yeah, I mean, also if they grab the surfing, you can make sure that it's going to be a flex pick because it's being played both on like. I mean, we've seen how been played on many lanes, but when we're talking about Hacker and PTC specifically, mid lane. Oh, it's gonna be Nivea. Okay, she's been buffed in the last patch, so it does make sense. And with Everfrost, it's really scary to play against her.
She's a very scary pick, but it is a bit of a strange one because you're giving away so much flexibility and so much power by going for this Anivia. You can see Divine Tsundere considering the Seraphine. You said she's very, very flexible. Could look to pick her with something very strong in the jungle, potentially. Could even look to pick her with something like the Karma and get yourselves that terrifyingly safe bot lane that just doesn't die. So we'll have to see if they want to reveal their hand just yet with the second pick on the red side, or if they want to go for something like that jungle, or even a counter pick into the Anivia mid.
I don't. Okay, they're gonna pick a carry jungler like Graves. Okay, so another one of these champions that we've seen so often, so lately. I'm very good in Supermia's hands, so I'm liking it so far. I think they're allowing Shoulder to pick kind of. Oh, is it gonna be Sejuani? Please, like be Sejuani. Yeah, it is. So again, Honeycomb has been able to play one of her favorite champions, Sejuani, and I'm like seeing the draft so far, I'm expecting great things from both of these teams because they are in comfort picks.
Yeah, it's comfortable stuff across the board so far. We'll have to see where Hecker and PTSD decide to put their third pick. Of course, they could pick something in the bot side. They could pick something top if they want to go that way, and we'll pick something that is most likely going to be going top. It's the Ornn in the hands of Gertrude the Pony.
Okay, so we saw her played last week. In fact, we saw both of these sub-laners play on last week. So I was wondering if it was going to appear during these picks, and it has. She did well on it, and think it's the kind of top laner where she can shine as much as she usually does. But still, we're gonna get a Cho'Gath for not for Scarlet. We're gonna get a Cho'Gath for Divine Sanders.
That would be a flex. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen weirder this tournament so far. I've seen weirder in yeah. It's unlikely. It's a Lions go top. It's pretty decent into the Ornn. It gives a lot of disengage. There's a bit of a tank buster in the late stages if you need that from your top side. And we're going to be moving into our second round of bans. And of course, no traditional marksman being picked up yet means that they're likely to be removed. Seraphine could go down into that bot lane role for Sofa, but Jinx is going to be the first one on the chopping block.
I mean, botlane has been pretty much ignored unless Seraphine is going to support, which could be the case. But, okay, Kai'Sa is going to be banned too, so this is the ban set where we're going against the bot lanes. Lily is going to be away too, which... Okay, so I think I see where they're going. Lulu is out of it. Okay.
Working her through, and Vayne, the namesake of the mid laner, will be removed as well. So a couple of very, very powerful picks have been left open. Support is untouched so far in this pick ban, meaning that all of the engage and crucial, well, okay, except Lulu, but, you know.
Oh.
And we're going to see the Tristana being taken away, which makes a lot of sense. It's a very powerful hyper carry bot laner, and getting rid of stuff like the Jinx and the Vayne, which are the champions that can go toe-to-toe with her in those later stages, definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and also, we should say that Yugi, in any case, she's a really good Leona and Alistar player, so it could work pretty well with the Tristan. It does make sense. Jin is gonna go for Chaos. Again, one of these champions that we've seen her play quite frequently. What?
I think should be the pick. Like we talk about Yugo being a very good engaged player. Go on,
yeah,
lock
true.
it in, prove me right, make me look very smart. You can do it.
On.
Yay! Right, perfect. Because we know that Yugo is a very good engaged player, picks the Alistair right on cue. Thank you very much. That's great from the bot laners in this game. Rel is really, really good at disengaging as a support. She has that engage opportunity. She has to disengage. With the way that Hecker and PTSD have already drafted, they've got all the engage they could ever need from Ornn and Sejuani, so they can go for something that's either a bit more conditional in the engage or something you want to follow up with, and it should be very, very safe in the spot side because if Alistair jumps in, Rel just prevents anything from going on, and she's got the shield buster as well for the Seraphine in the later stages, so it's kind of just the perfect pick here.
I mean, I really like Hecker and PTSD's composition. I mean, from what I'm seeing so far, they've been allowed to re-pick 3 of the picks that they had last week on stream, so that's quite telling. I don't know if Divine Standards, like they clearly studied the opposite team, so I'm wondering if they know that they can beat them, and they're like, okay, pick whoever you want to because we're gonna be able to win anyways, or if they are like, okay, we know how you play with these champions, with this composition, so we know how to play around it, or they just like, we don't care, like, yeah, pick that. You're gonna lose anyways.
I
Good
think it's
person.
interesting. Divine Sunderers with their composition have gone for something very. They've kind of half measured it in both ways. They have a couple of engage tools. They've got the Alistair who can bundle in. They've got Seraphy who can speed people up, and they've got a lot of ways of getting into fights. Cho'Gath,
Yeah.
notwithstanding, the Graves can dive on in. The Tristana can dive on in if they really want to do that, but that's quite a ballsy move. And with Seraphine putting on shields, that can actually be a little bit better. But they've got decent disengage, right? They've got Buster Shot from Tristana, they've got Alistair who can disengage, Cho'Gath's very good at peeling and disengaging with that Rupture and Silence. So they can kind of move in either direction in this game. And when Hecarim and PTSD have got such a well-rounded composition that has strong disengage in the bot side, they've got good engage on the top side, and then they've got Anivia, who at the moment, as you said, is looking pretty spicy in the mid lane, they've kind of got all the bases covered. So both teams have done the successful figure of you've got primary engage, you've got disengage, you've got secondary engage, love in life. I think that Hecarim PTSD's comp just has a more, what's the word? It's very prescribed. It's very obvious how they like to do things. And in many cases in League of Legends, having an obvious way of doing things is actually the best thing to have.
I mean, it's the safest way. Like, if you know how you want to play in the champions what these champions allow you to do, it's clearly way easier than just, flexing the picks and be like, hey, so what do we do with these champs? Where do we take them? How do we adapt? In this case, I think Hacker and PTSD are willing to set the pace of the game themselves rather than just being adapting to whatever the other team wants. And that's gonna be that can be quite good if they manage to do it from like the early stages of the game. But they might be also be in trouble if they allow Divine Slanderers to just get ahead and snowball, and essentially, what happens when some of these champions scale. It can be really scary, and I mean, I wouldn't want to see that.
No, I think one thing that's going to be very noticeable in this game is jungle impact, because
Absolutely.
Graves likes getting involved, likes getting those ganks down, can clear pretty well, but does want to be getting involved in fighting and scrapping. Sejuani, very, very good at fighting early, surprisingly. For a tank, she can get that stun off. Her clear speed is pretty safe and pretty quick, just because you're going to stack up those E's onto jungle camps, and then they're getting stunned, they're taking a lot of damage. It's a good time. But Sejuani ganking for an Anivia isn't the best thing in the world unless Anivia can get a good wall, because they're not able to rack up the stuns unless they can chain the CC one on top of another, which would mean that Scarlet would have to be kind of overextended for that to work. But in the top side, or the bot side, I can see Honeycomb having a lot of success. Ornn gives a lot of the CC, and can dive on in, can stack up the E for the Sejuani to kind of layer it much, much greater. And there's no real way for Annie Banani to get away from that on the Cho'Gath, so I can see potentially that one. But in the bot side as well, you've got the Jhin, you've got the Rel, you can have that engage coming through from Rel, and enough damage coming through as well. And it's hard to pick up a Tristana, it's hard to take them out if she's got jump available. But that's a pretty long cooldown. You burst that one and come for an immediate regank, then maybe you can have success down there as well.
I mean, they gotta. I need to see how these bot lanes are going to play around each other, because on one hand they could do like the Tristan thing that you were talking about, like go all in, just don't care about anything else. She's got the other side to disengage if she's in trouble. But on the other hand, you've got Jin Rel, and that is so powerful too. So I'm wondering right now, according to the playstyle, I don't think Hacker and PTSD are the kind of, like, of course they've got a very well-defined composition, but I don't think they're the kind of team to just play passively and let the game go on. I think they're more into the early action, so let's see how it goes, but I'm willing to see some thrilling level 1, level 2 plays.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because they do like to play this slightly more aggressive style that we see from them in some games, but they haven't really got the picks for it. The Rel doesn't engage as well as Alistair does between level like 2 and 5, 6. Rel is really good. She's not taken for her engage. She's not taken for her abilities to start team fights. She's taken for her abilities to catch out enemies when they're not paying attention and to keep everyone in the same place, right? Because Rel is completely incapable of following up on her own engage because she's jumps off, she lands, she ults, but then she can't chase on anyone. So she needs people to come in in a second or maybe 1.5 seconds maximum after she's engaged. So the rest of the team has to be there, and at that point, why isn't someone else engaging? Ornn, deceptive damage early, but probably isn't getting on top of Cho'Gath. He's got nice sustain. It's a good time. Mid lane, Anivia, again, kind of same thing. Not really doing all that much pre-6. Can get a little bit damaged, but really needs that ultimate to be putting down moves. And the Jhin and the Rell in the bot side, as we said, it's going to be difficult for them to engage, because if Alistar and Tristana don't want to take the fight, Alistar can really easily disengage the Rell. Rell is a great disengaged champ, but she can be disengaged very easily herself. So they haven't gone for this really aggressive style that we've necessarily seen from them before. It doesn't mean they're not going to play that style. Sejuani can be a good early game jungler, looking for the ganks, Arctic Assault in, hit that E, hit that stun, have a good time. But we'll have to see if that is the way that they decide to play the game, or if they're going to go for something a little bit more passive that maybe feeds in a little bit more to what they've built.
We're gonna say it right now as we jump into Summoner's Rift to see what happens, who will make it to the finals. Okay, so what we're seeing so far, I'm seeing Divine Sanders there, hiding in the bush. Careful, Anivia. I hope. No, okay, she didn't know the weather. She's just retreating right now. Oh my god.
I do like this as well, because in too many games have I seen the Anivia, or the mid laner in that situation, sitting in that bush just behind the buff, or just sitting on the ramp. It gives you a little bit more information, but if Anivia's there, Anivia's probably dead. She doesn't have anyone in support. Yes, she gets her egg popped and maybe survives from there if members of her team can get around, but a nice little early invade to start us off, and it looks like both junglers are going to be starting on opposite sides of the rift, because the Graves has moved on towards the top side.
Yeah, not mirroring this time around. So now we're gonna say Grave is going there with Cho'Gath. I mean, quite some action. This gives Ornn a little bit of an advantage, just a little bit of it, with the wave, as he's gonna be able to accompany it through the top lane. Here we've seen the bot lane. Sejuani is gonna be left on her own devices right now as the bot lane retreats to their own tower. Now, I'm not saying, of course, it's just 2 minutes in, but what do you think about this mid lane matchup? Because, I mean, I haven't seen it that much, Anivia versus Seraphine, and I'm inclined to... I mean, I like more Hecarim PTC's composition, but Seraphine pick mid lane, she's also strong, even though she's been nerfed in last patch. But I think it can be doing quite well.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty slow matchup. I don't think either of these champions necessarily has an advantage in the 1v1 per se. I think both junglers will be deceptively looking mid in the case of, well, the enemy mid laner is very immobile, so I can kind of get on, use my CC, get a kill. But I don't expect to see too much action mid pre-6. Post-6, Anivia gets her ultimate and starts doing tons of damage.
Wow.
Seraphine gets her ultimate and starts putting out loads of damage and CC, and it makes it much easier for junglers to get involved. But I don't think that anyone is particularly favoured in the mid lane, but that's where player ability comes in.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend a lot on like respecting the timing and being able to use the ultis and the abilities when it should be. Because sometimes, you know, we'll make these little mistakes of like want to overextend or act before the enemy does. In this case, I think they both need to wait, they need to be patient and allow the other one to initiate in any case. Not waste things too quickly. And on the other hand, we're seeing this top lane. And the top lane that you were talking about. Ooh, okay, I like this.
Yeah, a bit of a
just a
scrap
little bit of
going
trade.
on.
Yeah.
It's yeah, the Ornn will be doing more damage in the early stages in this top lane, but Cho'Gath is fine, can disengage very easily against the Ornn, has that Carnival passive, so we'll be healing up from taking down those minions, and again, jungle intervention is required unless someone makes a misplay, but a lot of intervention could potentially be happening at this Rift Herald as members of Divine Sundere moving up just to assist with the taking off that bot lane. Scuttle top was taken by Honeycomb, so it's going to just be a nice easy trade. Both of these teams not looking for anything crazy, but Chibi Mew could be looking for something bot side. All three members hanging around in that Triber. Charlotte could overextend, the Hellbot Pulverize will land. Rell is pretty tanky customer though, and will be able to dive away. Chaos putting the damage down. Does she get away as well? She will be able to step back, the Ignite running, but not going to grab a kill, and a good early gank coming through from Design Sundere. In the mid lane, though, we're going to see Scarlet maybe getting caught out. The wall is decent, but the flash should see her to safety. But now that tool's gone, this mid lane could become a lot more volatile.
I mean, you said it before. You were talking about Sejuani ganking into Nibiru's lane wasn't just like the best. And I think we've seen it here. They could have secured a kill. In this case, it's not going to be like that. And we've got a pause, ladies and gentlemen. So, okay, so what we're saying right now, we've gotten two plays one after the other. The first one almost cost Charlotte's life, but she managed to escape thanks to Rel. I mean, in Ultimate that wouldn't have been possible. And I mean, I like so far the pressure that Divine Sanders are applying on the map. Like they're doing well when it comes to that. Even though in top lane they're a little bit like they're in trouble with the Owen being in front. Okay, but the game is gonna go on. Cool.
Yeah, we're getting right back into it. No nonsense.
Yay.
I mean, Divine Sundari, the bowling gank in theory was good. You've got to look at the resources burn, though, is the issue. Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Used both the Flash and the Ignite, and Hecarim PTSD didn't spend anything to get away. So
True.
there was a little pressure gained, and then you look mid lane, Honeycomb gets a gank with Vayne's assistance on mid lane, Scarlet loses her Flash. So 3 resources are being burnt from Divine Sundari, they didn't gain anything from it, and nothing was burnt at all from Hecarim PTSD. All the recalls were the same, everyone's mirroring those, so there wasn't any territory lost, as it were. So overall, it'll be a pretty nice time for Hecarim PTSD, especially if they can look around these objectives like this Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, and the tip from Anivia is also quite telling. She doesn't want to waste any kind of time. It's better for her to be in the mid lane already, just in case her team needs her over in the bot lane, in case they want to start the dragon. Let's see if they try to. I don't think so. Nope. Just gonna leave it there for a while. And, I mean, quite even. Maybe there is a slight difference in minions, but apart from that, there's nothing really remarkable from it. We haven't seen Graves visit in mid lane so far, so we'll have to see when he does. Oh, and look at him.
He's hanging around, doing his raptors. Again, it's kind of the same thing where if Graves comes in, it's going to be pretty difficult to get any kind of good gank down unless Seraphine really combos up her CC for Graves to come in, because Graves only has that slow, doesn't have any hard CC to use themselves, which is where there's a disadvantage from Honeycomb on the Sejuani, who has plenty, and Sejuani going to be starting up this dragon. Doesn't look like there'll be much contest, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Could spot them out here on the Alistair. Probably can't go up on their own, but Scarlet moving through, Vayne coming through. We could see the first team fight of the game, and that's a nice double headbutt Polmars into the crescendo. Damage coming down, and that's going to be first blood. Going over to Scarlet, please. Charlotte needs to be careful. Has already dismounted, looking for a way out of the pit. Won't be able to find one just yet. The teleport coming through from the on. Teleport is going to be responded to, though. And outside the pit, here's the knock up onto 2, but there's no follow-up from it. So Gertrude trying to go away will be headbutted over the wall. 2 Freedom rooted up as Scarlet looks for more. The dragon has been adopted by the red side. Divine Sundari should be able to take that one out. Very easy to be grabbed by Chibi Mew, but it looks like the rest of Hecarim PTSD will be able to get out alive. But the first objective and the first kill, both going over to Divine Sundari. We're not finished yet. The Real coming through, looking for a friend, looking for something heads up, but does get headbutted back into the team. The Graves is still there, and the Ignite runs down, but Chaos stepping forward, the 2v3, too many low health bars as Hecarim PTSD ward off any further kills. But in the meantime, Honeycomb looking to search for Chibi Mew, can't find any follow-up, and backs away.
About resources, Sinadin is the only one who has remained, has kept all his summoner spells. But now, what I want to talk about is how this team fight has been quite messy for Hecarim PTSD. Like, I understood what they were trying to do at the beginning. Of course, you want to contest the dragon and so on. Thing is, then On arrives with the TP, and they're like guarding the dragon pit. But now the thing is, nobody else in teams follows, and that's putting Gertrude in a quite dangerous position. So, I mean, the TP was kind of necessarily wasted in my opinion. I don't know what has happened here, honestly. I think it was like just a matter of miscommunication, but they can recover from it. It's just like the first kill, the first dragon just still can't come back from it.
Yeah, and I think the problem with not having proper priority bot probably plays into it a little bit. It's difficult to gain that against Tristana because she's always shoving. With that E, on the passive on the E, just going to be dealing more damage to the minions, so Tristana has to kind of shove in a lot of the time. It's very, very difficult to freeze properly. And that's going to be absolutely fine for them, because they get their first dragon, they get themselves the first kill. There's a little bit of a gold lead. About 1,008 minutes is not all that much, but now the onus will be on Hecarim PTSD to try and push forward and get themselves back into the game. Both of these teams actually scale pretty well, so it won't necessarily be a case of one team massively outscaling the other. The ornaments will do a lot of work from Gertrude the Pony in that regard. But keep your eyes on this Rift Herald, because this could be the next place where action occurs.
Seems so. Sejuani is going to the top lane through the river, potentially looking for a gank there to just. I mean, the zone is warded. She's got the ward there in the bush. So, oh, Turgath, don't go in there. I mean, he wouldn't be in much trouble though because Ornn is quite far away. Now, what I'm looking forward to is. Okay, yes, Sejuani's going to start the Herald right now.
Yeah, it's a decent-ish time to start it. You got priority mid, but Scarlet Please and Vayne both going to be rolling up because Seraphine's very, very good at clearing out minion waves quickly. In the top side, it's just Ornn available right now, but you can see the Tristana and Alistar moving in on that mini-map because of the rotation. They want to be getting on top of this objective, but it's already gone very, very low, and Hecarim PTSD might look to grab this one before there's any response, but there's the ultimate coming down from Seraphine. So much damage coming through. The Rift Herald was taken as Gertrude the Pony is going to be cut down, does fall, but it looks like they're going to be chased away from the objective. It was secured by Hecarim PTSD, but no one managed to grab the eye. No, the eye was grabbed by Gertrude the Pony on the way down, so they did manage to grab it, but it is on the Ornn, which isn't necessarily optimal.
I mean, at least they've got it. Like, getting,
true.
like, being under 2 kills on the Herald will be just tragic, but in this case, at least you've got it, you know, for yourselves. Now, the thing is, I really liked the display from Divine Thunderers so far. Like, they are doing quite well as a team. They are coordinating themselves. They know where they want to go. Look at them just rotate right now. Doing really well, but be careful because Sejuani's arriving there. No, not Sejuani, Rel and Sejuani is also arriving. Everyone is arriving.
Everyone's arriving, and the ult will land on Tristana, who managed to get the jump off with a snowball, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Not going to be so lucky. Does go down. A bit cheeky from Soffa to get away from that one. Didn't know you could jump while you were stunned, but that's okay. It's 1 kill going up to Hecarim PTSD.
I mean, 1 kill on this support, which is like, I mean, it's 1 kill, you know, you just gotta be grateful for it and keep doing that. And I liked what they did, but I think they wasted like a little bit of time just in top lane. However, the other lanes haven't seemed to be affected. Like, the bot lane remains the same. It also has, the dragon is still going top here. The mid lane is okay. What I'm trying to say here is that even though they had to go all up that to top lane to protect the tower and do this engage, they didn't really lose it much in that, so good for them. Now, oh, the dragon is there. Almost. Dragon is just landing right now, and we'll see what happens. I think there's a team fight coming up. Alistar, careful.
I think there will be one. Alistar doesn't need to be that careful. He's beefy. He's a big boy. He can hold off, especially if he's got the ultimate available, which he actually doesn't. So it does need to be a little bit more careful. But Dragon falling down onto the Rift is just going to be a case of clearing out vision for Hecarim PTSD right now. It'd be brave to start this objective. They have priority, but they do not have it in the lanes they need it. Shivmu does manage to turn out from the engage, but again moving on through. Can't get the auto attacks required to get a stun. And Yu-Gi-Oh! On the back could look for an engagement. It's a 5v3 in the initial fight if they go for it. Soffa moving there. You can see Cho'Gath walking down. Annie Banani doesn't have teleport, but will be able to get involved on the flank if she decides to go to safe way, but will still be a different front to fight. The dragon has been started up by Divine Sundari. The engage coming on through. A lot of damage coming down. It's going to be the first kill of the fight. Going over to Annie Banani on to Honeycomb. They're going to be chased away. Decent amount of damage coming in from the Anivia, and it looks like Annie Banani has been left to hung up to dry. She's going to have to run up towards her tower. Charlotte gets slowed but not rooted. Takes lots of damage from Seraphine. Annie Banani still looking to escape. Gets the knock, but it won't be enough. The bouncing grenade will secure the killer. Soffa looking to take down Anivia. Won't be able to find the last attack just yet, as Gertrude Pony is there to play bouncer. Chibimu diving on forward, looking for chaos. Cannot find her. And it looks like this fight has petered out. The dragon went over to Divine Sundere, and kills were even.
Oh, I mean, quite depends. It's a team-wide composition. Her PTSD can do one of two things, which is going for the objective and trying to force a team fight. I mean, that can quite like bait. Oh no!
Dive coming on through. A lot of damage to Charlotte. She'll be able to dive away, but Soffa's going to go right on and follow her. Damage coming down. The Seraphine can't find the last auto. And they're going to have to back away. They need to be a little bit careful because Vayne is there. Honeycomb diving on through, but the ult goes wide. It doesn't matter for Yu-Gi-Oh! Who is taken down. And that tower still holds for a second longer. Will lose its place in the end, but I don't think anyone got the gold from it.
I think just having to disengage all the time. It's just costing Yu-Gi-Oh! These deaths. Like, honestly, we were talking about how they could disengage with this composition before, Cho'Gath and so on, but I think she has taken that role over the others, and that this costing her quite a bit of it, like also being in the front line. I want to see how she does later in the game, but I think she just needs a little more support from her teammates.
Yeah, it's strange because when you go for something like that dive, the engage was decent. The problem was the disengage was pretty good from the other side, and
True.
then the follow up. Tristana doesn't want the tank tower because she'll die. The Cho'Gath can't really get in there. There's not really anyone else to help. The Seraphine doesn't have a way of closing the gap, particularly. Got the heal off, but it didn't matter. So a lot of brave plays have been made by Yu-Gi-Oh, which you can see because she's got 100% kill participation on her team because she's been diving on through getting that engage on, but she's also died 3 times, which is not necessarily optimal. And yes, it's the support later in the game. It won't really matter if she goes down in the middle of team fights because after that initial engage and CC combination, Alistar doesn't provide much more than a very bulky body and maybe a follow-up stun from the E. But in the early game, it has given a lifeline to Hecarim and PTSD with a few kills, 2 on the Ornn, 1 on the Jhin. Things are going to be looking okay, but the Sejuani is in a very similar situation.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to talk about it too. Like, who would you rather have 3 deaths and like your jungler or your support? I mean, in this case, I gotta say, in defense of Honeycomb, she has been quite present in every single lane, so she just isn't dying like wordlessly. She does have a purpose when it comes to that. So, I mean, at least it hasn't been like out of, oh my god, she's just not playing, she's not having her best day in League of Legends. So, I can give her that. You know, I'm always expecting junglers in this meta to take the role of leader in game, but I can understand how that has shifted to other players. In this case, for example, Gertrude is doing quite well with her ultis, and okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fine with your engaged champions to go in and die, especially if the rest of the team's getting the job done. Hecarim and PTSD in a couple of fights haven't been getting the job done well enough to make up for the fact that they're losing their jungler, and Sejuani is a tank who you kind of want to hang around a little bit longer, just because she can get lots of chain CC off with her E, especially if you engage with your ult Q and you haven't actually used the E on the initial play. But it's fine. Champions like the Sejuani, champions like the Alistar, you're not going to be too worried if they're the champions that are carrying your deaths, and in both teams, they're carrying 75% of the deaths right now, so it's fine because it's not like the Tristana's dying, it's not like the Jin's dying, it's not like either of the mid laners are going down. So in a pure sense, on paper, they're actually doing a very good job.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how they are going to keep on doing this because so far both teams have seemed quite even when it comes to it. Like at the beginning, it seemed like Divine Centers had an advantage, were playing quite well, but then one thing that I've really liked is how Hecarim and PTSD has recovered from that, has managed to come back from it, and despite being behind in both gold and objectives, I'm foreseeing a play here around the mid lane, and that's going to be quite good for them. Dragon, though, is going to be spawning in 10 seconds. Team fighting coming.
Yeah, I think there should probably be one. Hecarim and PTSD really can't afford to give over this dragon. It doesn't need to be contested by Divine Sundari. This dragon doesn't matter that much to them individually. They will probably want to make something of it, but it looks like with no teleport coming down from Annie Banani when she has it available and no lanes even remotely looking to make that play. You can see the bot lane were recalling when the dragon was started up, so just going to be giving that one over. It's not the end of all things. It does stop the very early soul, but because it's mountain, that early soul is worth intrinsically much less, because it's just kind of a shield, which isn't that exciting. The Ornhorn will be caught, though, as Gertrude's opponent looking for an engage, but there's no one there.
No, it's just like an empty ult. Doesn't do. Oh my god,
that was on empty, although Seraphine catches out the Anivia and forces to flash away. We're going to see the fight around Rifthold, not Dragon. Nice two-man knockup coming in from Yu-Gi-Oh! Who gets a nice stun down onto Gertrude as well, but Rel with the disengage and the curtain calling should turn the tide of the fight. The Alistar's taken down by Chaos with the snipe. Annie Banani has a snack and does manage to take down Ornn, but might be chased away. Chaos has joined the fight in earnest now, gets the double kill with the second shot, looking for the fourth shot to get another kill, but can't find it onto the Graves just yet. The stun Seraphine over the wall should be able to survive. Suffer on the backside has dived in. Will the stun come through? No, it won't, as they go down. Soffer looking for one more, can find it. Exhaust will mean that there's a quadra coming through for Chaos, though. No Penta available this time around as Scarlet hangs around under tower and no engages left for the side of Heca and PTSD. Scarlet, please, though, hanging around, looking to clear out the minions, but there's not a very big wave, and excellent play from both sides, but it's Heca and PTSD who come out on top.
Yeah, I'm really liking so far how they've been adapting, and it's like they've switched the focus from jungle to the bot lane. In this case, it's Kay is someone who's carrying the entire team along with the rest of her teammates supporting her. So I'm really liking it how they've been able to say, hey, okay, so in this game we're gonna leave Sejani a little bit behind, we're gonna focus on you, we're gonna give you the resources, and I think it's working now for Divine Centaurs. I think this is gonna cost them the game. Like the misplays when it comes to the team fights. True that on ulti was not effective. It just didn't affect anyone. And the Seraphine ulti, on the other hand, was quite useful. But if you look at after it, you have to look at where the Jhin is. Where is he positioned? And it was just on the right range and extension to cut most of the members and even get a quadra kill. So I think they really need to be paying attention to where Jhin is. He doesn't need to be up close. He can be like far away and still do this damage with the ulti, so careful with that.
Absolutely, and that's the difference between what the two marksmen were doing in that fight, because Chaos sat at the side, got that curtain call off, hit 4 shots and killed Yu-Gi-Oh! Before moving in on full health and was able to really easily mop up members of Divine Sundari because they rule low, and Jhin just needs 1 or 2 auto attacks to take down a low target. Meanwhile, Sofa comes in, dives on into a backline of champions that aren't all that low. Did manage to kill the Sejuani who was below half health, but past that, no way she was getting out even with the reset on her jump. So it just shows how these two different champions work in this kind of teamfight situation, and Sofa definitely worked a little bit less well that teamfight specifically. But Tristana does have the Kraken Slayer, going to be able to stand to deliver so much damage. So you're going to have to keep your eyes peeled on if Sofa can have a more successful teamfight next time around.
I mean, I think she'll try. Obviously, it's always a matter of just like landing the right engage. But now, if we're looking on the Rift, we've got the Baron there, which I don't think is going to be down just yet. But both teams are trying to secure this mid lane. The first tower has fallen for Divine Centers, so they've got that. But now, is it enough to regain the position in the game? I don't think so. You need to do a little more effort when it comes to those team fights. On the other hand, Hacker and PTC does need to focus a little bit on objectives because so far they've only gotten 1 and the Herald that was almost stolen. So I think both teams need to focus on different things. They need to work towards that, and if they manage to do it efficiently, they can win the game. Obviously, someone has to win. It cannot be like lost by both teams. So,
I mean, that was actually a very interesting point that you remind me of. I can't remember where the Rift Head was dropped by Hacker PTSD.
you're right.
I don't know if they actually dropped it because it was in the pocket of Gertrude the Pony, who's the top laner, and the Ornn isn't necessarily always in a very good position to drop that Rift Herald. You put it in the pocket of your jungler in 9 out of 10 cases where you can, because the jungler's moving around the map is able to pull the trigger, and if the jungler's in a lane, it means you've probably got a numbers advantage in that lane. So you want to be able to push forward, you want to be able to get the damage down. But Ornn on their own isn't really going to be capable of doing that all that much. Pushing power from this champion's not great. And taking down sieging towers is even worse, and we could be seeing another fight in the offing here. Both teams kind of feeling each other out. Scarlet Please goes over the wall, but won't be hung up to dry by her team, as the Dragon's going to be started up by Heca and PTSD, and in a choke, this is exactly where they like to fight. Here comes the Ornn ultimate coming through, it's cutting through the team fight as Yu-Gi-Oh! Going to about half health. Charlotte in the back line, trying to get away, will be able to walk away for a second longer, but does go down. It's 5 for 4 right now. Divine Sundari have the member advantage. The health bars are low on both sides. Chaos stepping forward, does get slowed and forced to back away by the Seraphine. Scarlet Please looking to take out a member, will be able to get the shutdown onto the Jhin, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Diving on forward, gets the head bomb, but no pulverize. Can she get the stun? No, she can't, as she's going to look to run away from Honeycomb, who won't overextend, won't chase, but once again, Divine Sundari get an okay exchange and pick themselves up an objective off the back of it.
I mean, I liked Sneaky's ulti at the beginning, but then everything started going downhill. Divine Sanders played really well, that banded with the VP champions, the front line, and in the end that is going to mean 2 kills for them. In fact, he also took out Jhin before he could even cast the ultimate, which is quite sad because honestly, both teams were kind of low in health, so that ulti could have changed everything, but it wasn't just like she was dead before she could cast it. So unfortunate for her PTZ, good news for Divine Sanders, who already got chance to get back in the game, which they've really never left. They've got 3 towers and bandits in gold and bandits in objectives. And the thing is, even though they've got these advantages, I'm really not seeing the full potential that it could be taken advantage of based on. Like, I think it could be doing better, but in any case, that can be improved throughout the game, no problem. Now, looking forward towards the Baron. Let's see if they try to do it. The vision is going to go to Hacker and PTSD. What do you think, Will?
I hope they don't start Baron. I hope Hecker and PTSD don't do that. But the thing that worries me here, Hecker and PTSD had almost the perfect setup for that fight. Fighting a choke point, got the Ornn ultimate off. There was a wall in the way. The Anivia was burning damage down. No one died in that initial murder hole that they'd created. And their composition, if it's working correctly, should definitely be killing people in that murder hole. It was very interesting that the curtain call didn't come down at that point, but I think Chaos was too busy trying to bring the dragon down. And if they'd just been baiting the objective rather than going for it, that fight probably goes a lot better, and then they could turn their attentions back on towards the objective to pick it up. Because again, it's a mountain dragon. It's not actually all that important. Soul point for Divine Sundari will be nice. They will enjoy it because it will give them that shield. It will give them a little bit tankiness, and the damage coming through from Jin will be mitigated by it. But I don't know how worthy it was to start it up, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Going to be in a bit of trouble here. The ultimate has been popped. The Unbreakable will help the Alistair survive for a very, very long time. The ultimate goes wide from the Sejuani and going to be chased down. Sofa diving on through. The curtain is cooled, and once again the Alistair is the target. But anybody looking to block won't be able to block out the damage from Anivia, though. As the first kill of the fight goes on through. The ultimate for Seraphine this time will go short. Not going to pick anyone up. Annie Banani going to be rooted and does need to be careful. The wall is there as well. They're looking to get the engaged down. Here comes the Ornn horn. Will it land? Yes, it will. Only onto one this time. No Sofa will sidestep. Charlotte brings everyone back in. But where's the damage come through? There it is. As Jim picks up the shutdown. Damage come through from Sofa. Now look, she can stand to deliver so much work. Moves on through the wall. Will be able to get one catch, get a second with the bus shot. Gets the jump through and will be able to pick up the cleanup on the side. Seraphine hanging around just for a little bit of support as Chibi holds the line mid. Another good fight going over to Divine Sundere as Hecker and PTSD couldn't find the battle on the flank.
Okay, as I said before, I liked how the way they were adapting from jungle to bot lane. Now, I gotta say they are relying a bit too much on Jin, and Jin can only do so much. In this case, they were trying to focus on Annie Banani on the target. And she's just too tanky, like expect people will say. So if you want to take her down before all that teammates, I mean, I know they took down Alistar before that, but Alistar in comparison to Toga at this point in the game is like, I know, it's like very small in comparison, and now the Baron has gone to Divine Sanders without much fight.
Yeah, it was just the Anivia hanging around. And this is exactly what we were talking about earlier. We were saying the Alistar gets the combo off and then can kind of die. There's not all that much else that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is expected to do unless she can stay alive long enough to get the combo up again. And she goes down, but she takes 2 or 3 shots of the ultimate from Jin. She takes a lot of damage from the Anivia. These damage sources, these tools are not available for the side of Hecker and PTSD after they're used to kill the Alistair. And then again, they dive onto Annie Banani, the Cho'Gath, not the target you want to jump onto. Charlotte will have to jump away on the side from the engage of Divine Sundere. And the target focusing hasn't been good from Hecker and PTSD in the last couple of fights, and this is where they're struggling.
Yeah, I mean, in this one they chose to focus on Alistar, which wasn't so bad, and then they go against Cho'Gath. Like, the ulti by Jin, the curtain call, was almost, well, without almost, it was directed straight away into these 2 champions. Is that what we really want to do? Just instead of taking away like a squisher, but with high DPS champions. I know, but team fight is coming up. Will.
Seraphine ultimate goes wide. Sofra on the side. A lot of engaged tools have actually been burnt and hit no one. So now it's kind of on Hecker and PTSD if they want to take this fight. They're going to be the ones engaging, but the dragon is coming on up. Honeycomb already half health. Doesn't even look careful. Quick snack on honey fruit before she goes towards the objective. trying to keep as much control as possible. Actually going to start this one up again. This is deja vu from 5 minutes ago. Charlotte this time hanging around that choke point, but they're going to come in from 2. The Orn Honey is blown. Can they get a knock up? Yes, but only onto Annie Banani as Shinmu dives on forward. Can they get a steal? No, they can't. It's going to be secured by Chaos, who jumps out the back of the pit, but will go down to the burn. No, survives on a sliver of health. Meanwhile, in the pit, it's an absolute catastrophe. Soffa will be able to dive away, sniped out by the curtain call, though. Vayne flashes over the wall. Won't be followed up, but Shinmu's already there. Eggs Benedict for breakfast as the damage comes on down, and Scarlet Please will be able to secure the kill there. Members of Hecarim PTSD minced in the pit to get away, but what can be gained by Divine Tsundere here?
That was savage from you, Will. Like, I'm sorry about Pern, the Eggs Benedict thing. This means so funny. But in any case, I'm the problem here for Hecarim PTSD when it comes to objectives. Not only about targeting enemies, but also about like securing the objectives. It seems like when they should be going for the objective, be it the Dragon or the Baron or the Herald, they seem to focus more on the team fight, and when they should be focusing more on team fight, they go the other way around. So that ends up being like a loss for them because they end up dying, essentially. So I don't know. I think there's a little bit of like they need to focus if they really want to get away with this and win the game, because otherwise Divine Sanders are playing around it quite well. They know when to play around team fights, they know when to play around the objectives. And I mean, okay, does a Dragon really matter if we get 3 kills from the enemy team? No. So I mean, I think that's gonna be the win condition for them. Just keep on doing what they're doing, securing objectives, playing like they are doing, and also the team composition is quite strong at this point in the game. So it's not like they have to be worried about your squishy champions when you've got the Cho'Gath and an Alistar to be the frontliners. So things looking forward.
You've got a really nice front line. You've got Peel. The Graves is actually very chunky at this stage as well. Has got the Immortal Shield bow, so going to be healing up an absolute ton. And the Seraphine and Tristana both have their own ways of surviving. Seraphine got a decent amount of sustain, has actually not gone for the Moonstone Renewal, which is interesting, but something that we're seeing a little bit more from Seraphine's in this mid lane role. And of course, Soffa can jump away, can put the damage down, and will feel pretty comfortable just killing people at this stage on Tristana. 200 farm, 427 at the 30-minute mark. As members marauding on forward. Annie Banani, only member not hanging around the mid lane from either team right now, but just have the teleport to get involved if she's called, and might well be called, but looking to put the pressure on top. The Baron has expired, of course, so not going to be able to push through with those big old minions, but right now we could be looking for that classic, there's no objectives on the map, let's just kind of slow siege until there's something for us to fight over.
Yeah, and now if we're looking at it, Cho'Gath is hanging around that top lane zone, even though he's gonna do a retreat so far, so close down.
Yeah, Soffa not very tanky, so if she can get caught out by Chaos on this Jhin, or even by Vayne on the Anivia to a lesser extent, he's going to have a very, very bad time. She's not going to be able to necessarily survive all that damage, and does manage to get away this time around, but again, almost a kill. It's going to force Soffa back. This mid tower will be put under pressure. Scarlet Please the only one standing under it. Does need to be a little bit careful with Alistar turning up with Graves in the wings. It probably actually doesn't go down here, and anybody, remember, still has that teleport to look for the flank potentially.
Yeah, and one thing that Hecarim PTSD has finally done is just, you know, throw a tower. They were like 0 towers in comparison to Divine's 4 towers. And at this point, the game, we really want to start looking at that. You didn't want to be like, okay, I've got the Dragon, I got the Baron, but the thing is, I didn't have any towers, and I gotta go through these different waves of minions. Oh, that was close. And Nivea was almost caught there.
Oh, actually, Chaos going to be caught under tower. Yugo doesn't have any follow-up, though, so the Alistar ultimate was popped kind of for nothing. Soffa is now here, but interesting use of the engage. Alistar not going to be nearly as tanky in the next actual team fight, which 45 seconds time could be around the Dragon. Baron is also on the map, so the big neutrals are available. Interesting decision making for Divine Tsundere's support there, and we'll have to see if they rue that decision, because another Dragon, we'd be saying they're not all that important for Hecarim PTSD to actually take, but if they can grab another one, they're setting themselves up for Soul Point in 5 minutes time, and it's going to be, when you've stacked 4 Mountain Dragons with that shield on top, it does stop a lot of damage coming through.
I mean, I'm afraid this might turn out like the last team fight around the dragon, in which, okay, they were focusing too much on the objective, which is good, but at the same time, you're losing towers in the top lane.
Ooh,
Is it
yeah,
really worth it?
Annie
Oh
Banani's
god.
not here, so they're going to look to pull the trigger now. The curtain call has been used. First shot goes wide. A lot of damage going on to Charlotte, who does have to dive away. Nice engage coming on for Asova. Is looking to put the pain, bring the pain, but it's focusing on the Ord, who's pretty tagging. Teleport did come through as Annie Banani looks to walk into the backline, but so many people are focused on this Orn. Yes, you get the kill, but you're letting the rest of the enemy team escape. As 4 members of Hecarim PTSD will be able to move away. They don't want to give this one up for free, though, which is a bit of an interesting decision. Don't want to lose any members, otherwise it could be much, much worse. As Annie Banani steps forward, the dragon is secured with the soul for Divine Sundari, but it doesn't get punished. 4 members of Hecarim PTSD should be able to escape. Honeycomb actually may have to go there, and Vayne going to be called out and put into passive, but the damage comes through. Scarlet Please picks up the kill, and more movement forward. Resets from Sova, who will flash, looking for the Sejuani. Can't find the last couple of auto attacks that are required. The damage coming on through, though, as Rel dives on in, but there's no engage, there's no follow-up, and there's no damage. Annie Banani picks up the kill, as Chaos will be taken down by the Graves as well. A buckshot to the face could be all it takes to bring down Honeycomb as well. There's the double, there's the ace for Divine Sundari, and they can move towards the Baron.
I think it's reliant to deal damage when it comes to the Hecarim PTSD. Like, they've been relying on Jhin, but apart from that, okay, you've got Orn kinda, but he's tankier than anything else. You've got Sejuani, but has also gone the tankier route. I mean, the Rel's engages aren't working so much as the team isn't really following up. On the other hand, for Divine Sunders, you can rely on basically anyone. You want Turgot, you got Turgot. You want Graves, you want Seraphine, you got her. Like, you've got every single member there. And I think Yu-Gi-Oh! When it comes to this, Alistar dying a lot in the early stages of the game, but in the end it's just like what you said, like, she can just use her combo, use her ulti, and just die. And they still got plenty of resources to be used there. And in the team fight, and that's been very clearly shown throughout this game. So I think Divine Thunders are going to be the ones going to finals based on how they're performing, based on how they're learning throughout the game, how to, retaliate against whatever Hecarim PTSD is trying to propose. Oh, what North are coming in?
We did see another team fight, and this could be the last one if it is won by Divine Sundari, and members of Hecarim PTSD are grouping up. They don't want to be giving away anything if they can afford not to, but they do need to be careful. Annie Banani stepping forward to address the third team. This Cho'Gath is pretty huge and not going to be taken down easily. This mid tower will be the focus, but it doesn't look like any members are going to commit to try and get some damage down past what the minion is already throwing at it. Then Nivea will be able to clear out the minion wave very, very effectively with that ultimate, and it's going to be difficult to break this siege right now. Hecarim PTSD can clear very, very effectively with the Anivia, have a lot of disengage onto towers, and it will force Divine Sundari to back away. They're going to move towards the top side, give the Baron powered minions to a different lane, and see if they can succeed with that. But this is going to be a very, very slow one. It's going to be very, very difficult to break Hecarim PTSD without a team fight, and they might not even allow you to do that.
Nope. Oh my god, no. Nope. Oh no. No. Honeycomb, nope.
That's the bait. Seraphine, oh my god.
Okay, wait. Okay, so they have to, like, the staging is quite good. They have to be hiding behind the base. I mean, they might try to follow up with this one. Jin's
Oh, there goes Curtain Call. There's Gertrude Pony's ultimate. Will only catch on to Annie Banani, but does manage to break the Banshees as the Gargoyles is popped. Yu-Gi-Oh! On the side, looking for the combination, looking for the help, but Pulverize will find it onto 3 members. But where's the follow-up? Sova just now coming on through, but will be altered immediately by Honeycomb, who dives directly onto Destano. Does not have jump available. Charlotte goes low. Vayne goes low. Honeycomb also pretty low, but they're looking to continue the fight. Double kill goes over to Chaos, but now it's just Cho'Gath in front of her, and she doesn't have the damage to bring him down right now. Going to be backing away over the wall as Chibi Mew forces them away, getting the damage down, and there's the shutdown, there's the rampage for the Graves, and going to be moving towards the siege is continuing. The siege is borne fruit now as both towers fall. Inhibitors will likely follow. Annie Banani still standing as the front line. Chim Muse and Scarlet Please will be the damage, and now we'll look to take another fight. Honeycomb diving on through, looking towards the Seraphine. We'll be able to find one more auto for the stun. We'll be able to get so, but Annie Banani, untouched in the front, is having a great time. Shutdown will go over to the Orn in the end. Gertrude the pony. Going to be chased away though. Vayne is the last real damage dealer on the side of Hecarim PTSD and does manage to get below these two towers. There's the second inhibitor, but with no Baron buff anymore to empower these minions, it will be very, very difficult for Divine to grab anything. It looks like two surviving members are just going to back away.
Cho'Gath is invincible at this point in the game. Like, nothing, like, no matter how many abilities they use on him, it won't die. It can't die. It's just like, apart from the ultimate itself, it's like, I'd be very, like, honestly, it's not even a matter of like, okay, we take him down first and then we keep on going with teamfight. You can't even do that because the health bar won't go down. So, I mean, of course, you take out Seraphine, you take out, like, the squishier champions, but Cho'Gath is always going to be there. And with Disengage, DCC, and so on, by itself, it's quite a threat for this game, for the entirety of the team.
Yeah, it's difficult because you can't really kill the Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath's, at this point as well, not the kind of champion you can kind of just ignore. In the early game, Cho'Gath gets a knock-up, and it's like, oh, that's half my mana, and also the cooldown's really long, so I guess I'm not doing anything now. But now Annie can just wander on through and just one-shot your carry, because she can just have a snack, and it's good times. Dragon going to be up in 20 seconds. Elder Dragon will be very, very nice for both of these teams. Divine Sundaria picking that one up. It's probably just a win in and of itself, because a team fight would be nigh on impossible for the side of Hecarim PTSD. You go running on forward, will not be able to get the headbutt pulverized, but does float Chaos to flash away. And now the fight could be starting in earnest. Annie Benani on the side, keeping so many members at bay, all on her own. The ultimate will be missed by Gertrude, but it's going to turn her attention back towards Annie Benani, who's looking to get onto Chaos on the side. Charlotte gets a really nice stun now, but will not be able to catch anyone out. Chaos on the tower, surviving for a second longer, but Cho'Gath is peckish and grabs the first kill. It's a full art from Sophra, and members are melting. Divine Sundaria chasing on through. They've taken out enough members to look towards these Nexus towers, and they might have just stamped themselves a ticket to the finals.
Absolutely. I mean, so in the end, Hecarim PTSD isn't going to be able to complete their revenge, as Divine Sanders take this game in a very solid way. I'm like looking forward to what Davi is going to look at and Nexus, how beautiful it is. Very consistent for Divine Sanders. They've got a few plays that were kind of obvious, but in the end, they delivered.
Yeah, there are a couple of... I think both of these teams in teamfights struggled with target acquisition. There was at least one teamfight where Divine Sanders sent 4 members to chase a 200 health Ornn, when the rest of the enemy team was like literally just escaping the other side on 200 health, which is fine, kind of. You could have gotten more if you chased elsewhere, but they did take the win, and that's all that really matters. But... what I want to see from Divine Sunder is going into this final, which of course is best of 3, so there's a little bit more time for them to make mistakes and come back from them, is pick themselves a similar kind of composition. That style of play worked very, very well for them. The disengage was really good in the early game, and then they managed to turn it into engage later on. Yu-Gi-Oh! On a mad one, maybe only engage when you've got full up though, because Alistair's not 1v1ing anyone. But I like the style of play that they exhibited. Each individual player played pretty well in their own role. Seraphine, Scarlet Please, very, very quiet, but did her job pretty well. Sofa played exceptionally well in the later team fights on the Tristana. But I just want to see what they can do against Derby, because it's difficult to look at this game and then look against Derby and say, well, if they play like that, they win, or they play like that, they lose. Because we don't know which Derby we're going to see today.
True. I mean, Davi has been quite outstanding during this tournament, but they've also gotten the bad games. So whatever version we think of them today, I think it will be a quite good matchup against Divine Thunder. So I think we'll see what both these teams are made of. And who knows if they return. Oh no, they're not returning. Because we will talk about it after the break, but I'm so sad about this news.
Yeah, we're going to jump to a very quick break. When we come back, we're going to be moving into our grand finals. Divine Thunderers will be taking on Derby's Pajama Guardians. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.
shelter from the cold. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I saw you all alone. Your eyes match the weather, raining under pressure. Oh, you say you wanna go, yeah. So let's get away from here. Let's get away from here. Let's get away from here. Strangers stand lost in time with one another. The hourglass takes us further from here. Strangers found lost in time with one another. The hourglass takes us further from here.
Tell me where you wanna go.
Hello, that was the longest new logo I've ever seen in my life. And welcome to the Amazon University Esports Women League of Legends Championship Grand Finals, brought to you by Unite Student, Twitch Student, and Logitech G.